Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 6 of my new YouTube channel. I've challenged myself for 10 days straight to post a video every day for 10 days, and we're on day 6. Um, and today's topic is about imposter syndrome. This is a topic that is definitely near and dear to me for a lot of reasons. And I sort of wanted to start off this video sort of going into a little bit of my backstory. And you'll understand why I'm telling you these things like a little bit later. So basically, I've always done pretty well in school. Like I got straight A's for the most part. Um, I was always in like GT, gifted and talented, Excel math. I was like 3 years ahead in middle school. And then for funsies, like in the summer, I would take pre-freshman engineering classes in college campuses during middle school summer breaks for fun. Um, in college, I got a full ride scholarship, um, and I graduated summa cum laude with a 3.9 GPA. And I say all of this not to brag, but to hit home the point that even with all these different accomplishments throughout that time, I felt like I was stupid. I felt like I was an imposter, that I might have gotten good grades, but I didn't feel smart. I was suffering from high functioning depression. I was dealing with anxiety and brain fog. So, especially with the brain fog, like I would have people talk to me and I wouldn't really understand or comprehend. And it was like hard to think a lot of times, especially because of the brain fog. And I felt like I did well in school because I was good at test taking. Like in my mind, like the only reason why I got good grades was because I could study really well right before a test and get a really good grade and then forget everything that I had just learned. And so even though I had those accomplishments telling me otherwise, in my mind and in my like feelings, I felt like stupid. And so like that imposter syndrome thing was something that I definitely have dealt with in the past. And I still do sometimes every once in a while. Like I'll still feel like I'm I don't know enough to talk about a topic or something. Like I'll still have those moments of imposter syndrome. And so I felt like that was a really relevant topic to talk about today because I know that I'm not the only one that feels that way or that has dealt with imposter syndrome. And I sort of wanted to teach people different tools that they could use to help deal with their own imposter syndrome. So that is our topic for today. And like I told you, like it definitely hits home how important this topic is because I've definitely struggled with this a lot in the past and even currently, like every once in a while, I'll still have it. But a lot better now because like I've definitely done a lot of EQ work on myself to like help combat that a bit more. And hopefully like the tools that I'll teach you today can help you also combat imposter syndrome if that's something that you face. Okay, so again, today we're going to be using ChatGPT and MBTI um, to help combat imposter syndrome. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and we're at the ChatGPT window. Um, so first off, like for anybody that doesn't know what imposter syndrome is, let's start off there. So, oh, sorry, put my little video off to the side. Oh, by the way, just in case people are wondering why on my Zoom window thing, it says Sharky. It's because one of our second apps that we're working on is called See the Shark, and we're figuring out which direction to go with it. Either it's going to be a like an app that helps you with your EQ, like your emotional intelligence, or it's going to be a app to help you with your relationship based off of MBTI, or a third route is it's going to be a pocket AI life coach. So we're still like beta testing and tweaking the MVP, the minimum viable product. Um, but the original idea started off with See the Shark as the app name because it ties into a class I took in my MBA. But anyways, so just in case if you're wondering why it says Sharky, that's the reason. It's because of the our second app that we're working on. Okay, back to imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the internal experience of believing that you're not as competent, talented, or capable as others perceive you to be, despite evidence of your accomplishments. People with syndrome often feel like a fraud and fear that they'll be found out. Common signs of imposter syndrome: self-doubt, perfectionism, discounting success, fear of failure, overworking. Yep, definitely experience all of those. Um, who experiences it? Anyone can experience imposter syndrome. Students, professionals, creatives, even highly successful people. It's especially common in high achievers and people in unfamiliar environments. So that makes sense. I didn't know about this part. The Five Common Types of Imposter Syndrome by Dr. Valerie Young. The first one is perfectionist. Feels like a failure if things aren't done perfectly. Definitely been guilty of that. The expert feels like a fraud unless they know everything. Um, I don't think I deal with that one as much because I know that I don't know everything. I know that there's so much more to learn. Yeah. Okay, but I can totally understand why somebody would though. The soloist believes asking for help proves incompetence. I could see that. I might have been like that before in the past. The natural genius believes they should excel effortlessly, struggles with anything that takes effort. Ooh, okay. The natural genius also ties into GT failure, if y'all have ever heard of that. Like GT failure is basically like if you were when you were younger, you were in like the gifted and talented program, and so you did really well in school and it was easy for you. Like, well, easy, like relatively easy for you. Um, what happens is that you're so used to things being easy when it comes to school that when you get to a point either in college or in your career path, where it's no longer easy, then you struggle with it. Like it's like the GT failure. Like anytime you fail once, you're like, oh no, like what is this? Because you're so used to things getting being easy and you making like straight A's and being successful without trying that hard, that the one time that you fail, it's like a big drop. And it can lead to like depression and like negative spiraling and other things. But yeah, GT failure is definitely a thing. And like I've experienced it in the past myself for at one point. So yeah, if you're a GT kid like me, like and you've gone through GT failure and you're going through it now, just know that you're not alone and like you can look it up a little bit more to understand it better. Okay. Anyways, back on the topic. The superhuman pushes to excel in every role and feels inadequate if they fall short. Um, I feel like people who are parents, especially females like mothers, they can definitely probably get into this where they feel like they have to take care of everything and everyone. And anytime they fall short, they like kick themselves over it or like yeah, have like those inner critic moments. So yeah, I could see why like these different types can get into imposter syndrome. So how to cope, talk about it, track your achievements, set realistic goals, practice self-compassion, challenge negative thoughts. Um, all of these are very helpful, but at the end of the day, like you have to find a way for you to actually believe it. Because it's one thing where sometimes like you on a logical level and on an objective level, you'll realize that like, oh no, like my achievements show that I'm not stupid. But sometimes feelings are for feeling and you'll feel otherwise anyways, even though on a logical level you know that it's true, like on a feeling level or on a like a visceral level, you'll still feel like an imposter. You'll still feel stupid. And I've been there before. Like I've done those things of like talking about it, tracking my achievements, uh, setting realistic goals, practicing self-compassion, challenging negative thoughts. But even doing those things, sometimes it's still really hard. Like it's still really hard sometimes to combat that inner critic that tells you that you're an imposter or combats that inner critic that tells you you're stupid, even if you have accomplishments proving otherwise. So yeah, like this one especially, like it's not easy. It really isn't easy. So more power to everyone that is dealing with this, because I understand firsthand what that feels like. And know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel in the sense that like because of all the different EQ stuff that I've done in the past of like figuring myself out and helping myself with my emotions and my like issues that I've faced, um I've gotten a lot better about imposter syndrome. And it's more rare than it is a norm now for me. So I'm just letting y'all know that it is possible to get out of that headspace. And yeah, like I'm hoping that the tools I'll teach you today can help you with that. And I also really wanted to put a disclaimer um, and emphasize it that I am not a licensed therapist, nor do I pretend to be one on TV. And I don't think that these tools like ChatGPT, MBTI, and all these other things should be a replacement for therapy or for coaching. I think that there still definitely is value in having one-on-one coaching or one-on-one therapy. Though I do also realize that it's not as accessible for a lot of people for different reasons. So I get it, but I just wanted to emphasize that like I think that this is a really like ChatGPT and AI is a really good tool for in between sessions, like maybe in between your coaching or therapy sessions to help you out because it's more like readily accessible that you can like talk to it. Um, but like it shouldn't be a replacement for it because I think that human one-on-one coaching and therapy, there's still benefits to it that you can't get out of just ChatGPT. So definitely want to emphasize that point before I continue on to the next part. Okay, so for the next part, let's look into which MBTI types would suffer the most from imposter syndrome, and then I'll pick one of them to like play it out and like see how ChatGPT and MBTI can help that specific type with imposter syndrome to the way that their brains. But also keep in mind that you can always do it yourself where you input your own MBTI type and see what results it gives you. So first, what MBTI types deal with imposter syndrome most? Okay, so like yeah, all of them can deal with imposter syndrome, but some of them struggle with them more than others. So INFJ, I could see that. Because they're deeply idealistic and have high internal standards, and they feel that must know everything before they're credible. So I can see that. And because of their strong introverted intuition, it's their top function stack. So it can lead to them overthinking or like having a lot of harsh self-criticism, especially if they're a turbulent type and their FE makes them sensitive to others' opinions. That makes sense. So a typical thought is they think I'm wise, but I'm not nearly as capable as they think. INFPs, the mediator, they strive to have live in alignment with their personal values, but sometimes they're because they can feel not good enough. And they often undervalue their own worth and struggle with feeling misunderstood. A typical thought is, I don't deserve this praise. I'm not living up to my ideal. INTJ, the mastermind, they also set incredibly high personal standards and expect to master it quickly. If they struggle or aren't perfect immediately, they can feel fraudulent. And then their FI also adds a layer of private self-judgment. So yeah, they can definitely get into that trap of perfectionism and fear of failure stuff. Typical thought is, I should be further ahead by now. I don't belong in this role. Okay. INTP, the thinker. They often second guess their ideas and compare themselves to others' expertise. Their internal logic is so detailed that they constantly spot gaps in their knowledge and assume others see those gaps too. Yeah, like the funny thing about INTPs is that like sometimes they think that other people think the way that they do, when in reality they're like very rare, like they're quite rare. And also in the MBTI, when they did like statistics to measure IQ, INTPs have one of the higher, like I think the highest IQ on average, like statistically, of the MBTI types. So the way that their brain brains is not how most people's brain brains. Um, so when they spot gaps in their knowledge, like not everybody else can spot those gaps. Um, yeah, so I've known quite a few INTPs. So it's interesting. Okay, typical thought. Everyone else seems to have it figured out. I'm faking it. No, nobody has it figured out. We're all just trying to figure it out with this thing called life. But yeah, like I could totally understand why somebody would think that like I've been there too, of, like thinking, especially when you like look at social media and you see everybody else ahead of you, like it, or LinkedIn also. um you see everybody else ahead of you on their career path or in their family life or relationships, and then you're just like, why am I the only one that's struggling with blah 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 or something? But in reality, like social media, it's just a snapshot of a person's life, and it's usually like the best snapshot that people do. And it might be Photoshop snapshot. And so like it doesn't show the ups and downs of a person's life. And even people who are high, no, especially people who are highly successful, usually they also have like their down moments too, but it's just not posted on social media. So yeah, none of us have it figured out. None of us. We're all just, yeah. ENFJ and ENFP. Ooh, my type too. The supporters and inspirers. These types are naturally charismatic and people focused, but can feel pressure to always be inspiring or helpful. When they feel depleted or unsure behind the scenes, they may feel like imposters, especially if others rely on their energy or optimism. Typical thought, everyone thinks I'm confident and uplifting, but I don't feel that way inside. Oof. Yeah, those words hit. Um, when I was younger, I definitely suffered from high functioning depression, and complex PTSD and other things. And I don't think anybody knew, in the sense that like I could hide it very well. Like my friends and family, I don't think anybody knew that I was dealing with that. Um, I would like laugh and like hang out with friends, but I wouldn't feel happy inside. Um, a good example and a very sad example is Robin Williams. He's an ENFP like me, and like he always wanted to make other people feel happy, but inside he wasn't. So yeah, I can definitely understand that feeling of wanting to make the people around you happy and like faking that happiness when inside you don't really feel that way. Okay, whew. I didn't expect to cry in this video today. Um, but yeah, that's actually a good thing. Feelings are for feeling. Because like for a long time I dealt with emotional numbness, and so I didn't feel my feelings. And so like this is good. Feelings are for feeling. Okay. Um, So yeah, all of these different types can deal with imposter syndrome. And let's see, is there a type that I haven't done yet? I think I did ENFJs. I've done ENFPs. I did an INFJ video. I feel like I've done INTJ before. Um, let's do INTP today. That'd be interesting because they're highly intelligent. And like it'd be interesting to play that out. Um, okay, cool. Let's do INTP for today. So I am an INTP-T and I struggle with imposter syndrome. Uh, I have a lot of accomplishments in my field of work, but at the end of the day, I still feel like I don't know enough. And I feel like an imposter in my career because it feels like everyone around me um, is better than I am. Okay, let's play this one out and see what kind of response. And I put INTP, the T, the turbulent type, because like I said before, like the turbulent type has like that stronger inner critic or like that more anxiety of what other people think about them and stuff. So thank you for sharing that so openly. What you're describing is incredibly common, especially for INTPTs. Even with strong evidence of your competence, the feeling of not knowing enough and believing others are more capable can feel overwhelming and isolating. So ChatGPT can help you work through this. And also keep in mind, I want to repeat and emphasize that I don't think that ChatGPT should be used as a replacement for therapy or coaching, but it is something that's great for like the in-betweens or for helping you with self-awareness. So that's like what I advocate for of like using ChatGPT for self-awareness. But if you're dealing with like trauma or complex PTSD or depression, I do think that like the therapy is something that you should seek out in some way, shape, or form. And it also is like a Goldilocks thing where you have to like try to find the therapist that's a right fit for you. And it can be difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, I've struggled a lot trying to find a therapist that's suitable for me, and I'm still trying. Like I um am currently on the look for like a suitable therapist also. So I'm still definitely an advocate for therapy. But anyways, okay, back to the INTPTs. Um, one of the reasons, like some of the reasons why they do struggle with that imposter syndrome is they can get into a cognitive pattern of TINE loop. So their introverted thinking wants their internal precision and mastery. Well, oh, sorry, wants internal precision and mastery. So it's never done learning. They want to like continuously like improve and get like to the point of being like the master of that field. Um, but in their mind, they'll never get to that point because they're always constantly wanting to like learn and improve. And then their extroverted intuition generates endless possibilities, what ifs, and counterexamples to their own competence. So sometimes like being too smart is a thing where like your intelligence is a double-edged sword or it's like a gift and a curse. Where like the gift part is like it can be awesome when utilized correctly, but it can be a curse sometimes because like you might get in your head a little bit too much because you're so smart. Together, this loop creates a constant feeling of intellectual insufficiency, even when others see you as an expert. Ooh, yeah, that would really suck to get into that TINE loop, that constant loop. The turbulent T trait adds more self-doubt, comparison, and emotional reactivity to feedback, greater tendency to ruminate on perceived mistakes or inadequacies. And might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that for INTPs, w one of their functions in their function stack is extroverted feeling. And so even more so, they might care about what other people think of them, um, or how other people might judge them, especially for a T turbulent type. So that's definitely like a big thing. What you're likely experiencing, I don't know enough, is the thought or feeling. And it's because you have like a perfection standard of like complete mastery. And this like complete mastery will never happen in your mind because you're just like wanting to always constantly challenge yourself and get better. So then like you'll never reach that goal, basically. And then you kick yourself for not reaching an impossible goal. They're all better than me. Any overemphasizing others' visible strengths while discounting your internal ones. Yeah, like that whole comparison trap of like the grass is always greener on the other side. Oh, there was like I was reading a book of poetry and I forget the author or the title of the book, but like in one of her poems, she said the grass is always greener on the other side when you don't water your own. And that hit. That hit. The grass is always greener on the other side when you don't water your own. And that's the thing, like if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, but you're not doing your own EQ work on like working on uh self-validation and self like helping you with your own self-worth and like lowering the voice of your inner critic and like raising the voice of your inner coach. Like if you're not doing that EQ work, then yeah, the grass is always going to be greener on the other side when you don't water your own. But yeah, like no judgment on that though, also, because it's difficult to water your own grass. Like I've gone through that. Like it's difficult. It's difficult even taking the first step, especially if you have depression or anxiety and other things. Like even taking the first step of working on it can be overwhelming. So there's no judgment. It's just that like, yeah, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Okay. I've accomplished things, but they don't count. So TI dismissing subjective validation or emotional wins. So like even with the accomplishments, you don't count them. So yeah, it's hard. It sucks. And it sucks when like sometimes your own function stacks work against you. Um, but with everything, like you can always improve upon it. Like improve on any weaknesses that you have. Like it's always possible to change and learn. Tools and mindsets to help you as an INTP. Name the pattern, then interrupt it. Start noticing when your brain shifts into I don't know enough or they're better than me mode. Label it as TINE self-doubt, not reality. So name the pattern, then interrupt it. Like I know that they're going into something specific for INTPs of that TINE self-doubt. Um, but my recommendation for everybody in general is definitely look into cognitive distortions. Like it's very powerful looking into cognitive distortions. Another name for them are thinking traps or mind traps. Um, because it can make you understand that sometimes what you think is the truth is not, it's just a cognitive distortion. So yeah, like my recommendation is for this part of that tool to do that tool instead of like looking into cognitive distortions and notice when you're continuously repeating like a same cognitive distortion. For example, one cognitive distortion is all or nothing mindset or black or white logic or black or white thinking. And it's basically like for example, for me, in the past, like if I didn't make an A, then I failed. Like it was all or nothing. Like if I didn't make an A, then I failed. So that's a cognitive distortion because it's not true. Like, But in my mind at that point in time, I thought it was. So there's quite a few cognitive distortions that a lot of us do. And like you can look into it more to find out what patterns you have and like notice when you're doing those cognitive distortions. Define enough for yourself. You may never feel you know enough. So create clear external markers of success that your TI can't endlessly move the goalpost on. Well, that's a good one because like that makes sense because like I was talking about for INTPs, they set like the standard of like mastery. They want to be a master at that particular field, but the way that their brain works is that like that's a goal that will never be reached. So setting a goal, like setting something that counts as enough would be good because then it gives you like an end point, like an actual concrete goal, rather than just like, oh, I want to be a master at the field, and then that goalpost keeps on moving up. Accept that growth equals ongoing incompleteness. So you're supposed to be learning. Having that growth mindset versus fixed mindset is a very important skill set for anybody to learn. Um, Being in a place of growth doesn't make you an imposter, it makes you engaged and adaptive. Yeah, we're all growing, hopefully, as a person. Let others reflect you back to yourself. TI types often underestimate their impact because they don't feel it emotionally. Let trusted people share their perspective and try not to dismiss it. So have people that you respect like tell you otherwise, basically. Like it's sort of like a sanity check. Like I do that with friends sometimes where I'm like freaking out about this thing. I need a sanity check. Help me out with this and like give me feedback. And like my friends will have my back and be like, no, like you're overthinking it. You're not stupid. You're not an imposter. Like you have blah 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 skills and these accomplishments to back it up. So sometimes like you need uh friends or mentors that can be cheerleaders for you to showcase to you that like what you're thinking is just a cognitive distortion or something that's just in your head, but it's not reality. So having those people that have your back is really awesome sometimes. And if you don't have them, like um find them somehow. And don't get me wrong, trying to get adult friendships is really difficult. So that's a whole other topic. But yeah, like hopefully you have those type of people around you. And if you do, then tap into them. Build self-worth beyond competence. You're not just a thinking machine, you're a whole person. Your value isn't limited to what you know. It includes creativity, curiosity, integrity, and how you treat others. Yeah, like know that you have self-worth and that you're worthy no matter what. No matter what your accomplishments are, no matter if you fail in things, no matter if you don't have a job or if you don't have a relationship, like that isn't a measure of your self-worth. And it can be very difficult to realize that sometimes, especially if you base your intelligence or your competence or your career or productivity on your self-worth, or like your self-worth is based on those things. But yeah, a mantra for INTPTs with imposter syndrome. It's not about knowing everything. It's about showing up with curiosity, honesty, and integrity. And I do that well. Or you can find a different mantra, any mantra that works for you. Like for example, like I have self-worth no matter what. Or um like setting a an end goal on mastery of enough, and then that can help also. So like once you reach that point there, you can be like, okay, this is the goalpost that I set and I reached it. Would yeah, so that is what I wanted to talk about today, imposter syndrome. And as you can see, like it is near and dear to me to the point where like wasn't expecting to cry today, but I did, which is good because I'm feeling my feelings, and feelings are for feeling. Okay, so that is our video for today. I hope that everybody has a great rest of your day. Bye.